sorry, I didn't even look at the agenda, but, I just want to make sure, Cleve, I've only had good interactions with Cleve. I don't even know him personally. I've just always had good interactions with him. But, from my understanding, he left. So I just want to make sure that as things move forward, the situation is talked about, because it's not good for, any organization to have someone just walk out and drop everything like it didn't matter. So that's the only thing. I've only had good conversations, good interactions with Cleve. I just know from being an HR manager, from the different jobs in my past, that someone in that position that did so much, and that was a big part to walk out, because I honestly don't even know what happened, but to walk out just puts everybody else in a bind, and that's why we're here. I guess that's why we're having these conversations, is because it kind of left a big hole. So I guess just as just a regular old citizen in Parowan, I've been here 22 years, but I'm not born and bred here. I just want to make sure that the conversation is talked about and explained, and we as a public know what happened, why he walked out, why he was, I guess, willing to leave that hole, because I just feel like we don't always hear a lot. So thank you.
Jed Sedgwick, Parowan resident, council, mayor, fellow citizens. In the municipal code, the appointed officers of the city are accountable first to the mayor and then to the city council. They are to align their duties with what they're asked to do. If being held accountable to do their job is considered a toxic environment, they're not going to be happy anywhere. That's all I'll say.
All right. Thank you. Moving now into the consent meeting. These items are items that only require, they generally don't require discussion. They're routine in nature, and all items on the consent agenda are usually adopted by a single motion. There's item number 6, approval of minutes from July 14th and July 21st, 2022 City Council meetings. Number 7, approval of warrant register for July 28th, 2022. And number 8, approval of purchase orders A and B.
I know we're not supposed to have discussion, but I've got a question on number 8. And maybe Matt can answer. I don't know. With these two, is that being paid by the insurance?
That's what I asked him. Yes, partial of it, except for about $30,000.
Okay.
You want to address it? I'll let you say it better than I do, Jeremy.
If you'll remember, a month and a half ago, we had a purchase order for the Stator Rewind. So the 8B, which is the $30,000 of that previous PO is for the windings for the Stator Rewind. So just the material. So we haven't spent the rest of that PO, but everything else would be insurance money.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
And there is
Just for
still
me.
insurance money to be,
Spent,
yes,
to be
and
put
towards-
towards that?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to be clear for myself on
Yeah,
that.
I'm still going back and forth with insurance on
Oh, I'm
covering
sure.
some other items and trying to get as much as I can covered, but
And thank
it
you for
hasn't
that.
settled yet.
so that $30,000 wasn't, if I remember right, it wasn't covered under insurance.
Right,
They wouldn't,
yeah.
they wouldn't.
They wouldn't
They-
cover that.
The Stator passed their test, and so, they made us pay for that, and it was a $60,000 total, rewind plus, labor, so,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
We're only half.
Another thing that might be mentioned, Jeremy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but because of the health of the enterprise, the electric fund,
does not affect the city budget. It's being paid for out of the,
I think we actually rolled it to a capital project for
Project.
2023 budget.
so that it's not
the
affecting the
stator.
budget.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thanks for clarifying
Yeah,
that for me.
thank you for that clarification, 'cause I had those exact same questions. Thanks, Councilman Toppin. I have a question on the minutes. The minutes of last meeting, of last council meeting, in my report, I talked about the Meeks Pond, and I mentioned that Jessica Stratton, she's the ag teacher at the school, and it was put in there, I think, Jessica Dunlap, so that needs to be corrected. And also in the minutes of the special meeting, it was mentioned that I supported the COLA, the 9%, if it didn't mean borrowing, but I also said if it didn't trigger truth in taxation. So I'd like that added to the minutes, please.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes with those amendments.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent meeting, items 6, 7, and 8 with the corrections that have been brought forward.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving now into the action meeting, these are the items that do require a vote. Action meeting item number 9, the heat program energy assistance, and that will be explained to us by Judy Shears.
Did you get the information in your packet?
Yeah.
This is, we have, for as long as I've been here, been participating in the, heat program. So during the winter, people who qualify are able to get money off their, electric bill for their, for energy assistance. They have come out with a new program that's only, available until 2023, for cooling costs and water. But we have to sign, a memorandum to say that we want to participate in that. I did have Justin look through it all, and he said that he thought it would be okay. It's just a lot of bookkeeping, but we're willing to do that if you want to offer that to our residents.
All right, thank you. Did anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you. So this would be a motion to, well, I would entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the HEAT, H-E-A-T program, energy assistance, that we endorse that as a city for the benefit of the citizens.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving into action meeting item number 10. This is library roof bids, and that will be handled by Councilmember Sharon Downey, who is the council person over the library.
It was brought to our attention that the library was leaking but not coming into the library. Do you understand what I'm saying? It wasn't coming down into the library, it was just going into the roof. We had three contractors come out. 2 of them said our membrane was fine. 1 said it needed to be replaced, but you can't get a membrane for a year because it comes from China. And we got prices for it. We were going to, the tile, ceramic tile that's up on the roof and then around the whole building up on the roof. We're gonna take that out and put aluminum, or not aluminum,
Galvanized?
Metal.
metal.
Yeah, metal.
I'm not a roof person, guys. But that will stop the bats from going in behind the ceramic tile, 'cause bats are going up in there, having babies, and unfortunately on the sidewalk is bat remainings of poop. Pardon me? Okay, guano. So we have 3 bids. 2 of the bids are no longer in force. We'd have to call and ask them if they will do it. 1 bid was good until the end of the year. And he said that would be the most that we would pay, and if the material came in cheaper, he would give us that discount. Plus, he gave us 2 years 2 years warranty on his work. The other contractors would not give any warranty on their work at all.
Which one was that gave the warranty?
Edwards gave the warranty.
And there's 2 bids from Edwards.
No, there's 2 bids. They are, one is for the roof repair, the other is for that
The gutter.
roofing around.
So they're
The
2
only
separate.
thing that was brought to my attention is on Edwards wants to, because all the drain plugs were closed off. And that's why the water stays up on the roof. So he says we need to open them up and then put drains and attach them to the building. And Cleve says, no, we don't want to do that because there would be the pipe going across the sidewalk and we could just see everybody falling over the drain pipes. So Kelly said, yeah, we need to change that where they have up on top, and then we can filter it all through the back where no one's walking and have it hang out over the sidewalk instead of going across the sidewalk. So that is one adjustment that we need to do on that.
So he did guarantee, Edwards gave it to you.
Edwards would guarantee his work
His work.
for 2 years. It's in the contract.
That's what the total is on that.
He is local from Cedar City, if you call that local, I hope so. And, Timberline is from West Jordan, and Stout is from St. George.
They
So
have a-
what did Stout
Yes,
say
Ron
he'd
is
do?
from Cedar, but the ones from St.
He's
George
just-
come up,
He's
because they
not
do the
doing
flat
anything with
roof.
the gutters.
Just the gutters. So
He's-
Stout's just doing gutters?
Not the gutters.
Stout would, no, they wouldn't do that at all. They wouldn't put gutters, but
So
they
that's
wanted
why
to
his is
replace
less.
everything. And we just asked them to give us what we can so we can make the roof last longer until we have the money saved up for a pitched roof. We want to put a
Mhm.
pitched roof on
Right.
the roof.
So, did they give you an estimate on how long they think that roof would last? Longer as we're saving up for the roof?
As they were talking, I know Cleve had talked to them 5 to 10 years, and they said absolutely,
5 to 10?
yes.
And then, who's recommending a pitch roof? Like, where did that come from? I'm just curious why they want to redo
It
it.
came,
Maintenance.
just maintenance, so, because in the snow, all that snow just sits there and doesn't drain off. If you put the pitch roof off, it'll fall off.
So, if we redo that,
there.
then we're gonna have to redo, I'm assuming what we're wanting to do right now is maintenance. Is like a temporary fix
This is so it stops leaking.
and the
to get
bath.
the bats out. And we cannot do anything with the bats until sometime in October or November when the bats leave.
What, we don't wanna seal them in?
Yeah.
No.
If you guys don't know my humor, I was just
So actually, the difference, I mean, Edwards is 26, what?
26,110,
26,110.
with a 2-year warranty.
Okay, Timberline's 2950, but the Stout, that doesn't include any of the,
His is not even, it's not even like comparable to the other ones, 'cause he
Yeah.
didn't really bid like what the other ones bid. That's
what do
why
you recommend, Councilman Downey? Councilwoman
recommend-
Downey,
I
excuse me.
I'm not a roof person, but I like the 2-year warranty with Edwards.
Hmm.
My understanding of the roof, if I'm in the house and it's not leaking, it's fine. So I'm not a roof expert. But that's, because of the warranty, I like that.
Mhm. So, no membrane now, because.
No,
he's
he
saying
said
that
that
it's fine.
Timberline and Edwards said there is nothing wrong with the membrane.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So why did they want to do a membrane in the first place?
I didn't meet Stout out there, but they just said, no, you need a new one and it'll take over a year
Okay.
because it comes from China.
And I'm assuming anything that we've ever done on that roof is so old that we don't have any type of warranty on it. So like if we're trying to fix something, it's gonna void a warranty or, I'm just
Actually,
trying to think out.
and the mayor will, she can attest to it, we have the architectural drawings of the library that we have given it to the engineering firm that built the library, and he has yet to give us a pitch roof design to make sure it could hold a pitch roof.
So, and that was gonna be my next thing, is like, if that is our goal, is like, who told us we needed a pitch roof, and we had an engineer look at that to see if that would sustain it, or if it was structurally able to do a pitch roof. That was like my next question, kinda where I was getting with
Mayor,
the pitch roof.
wasn't that a discussion we had with Cleve, that the architect did come out and look at that and said we do need to put a pitch on it because of the standing water and all?
It's probably things people that were at the library for a long time know, but it was a thought that that should have been done at some point. But taking, that blueprint over, I realized that, you know, it was gonna be some time even before we probably had that information, and we still don't. But in the meantime, we do have degradation of the underneath and other parts of that structure. So this is a solution that gets us through, because it will be more money. It will be quite a bit more money than what we have saved for, but also it will address the immediate needs. And some of the metal wrapping and things like that will just repair things that also just need to be repaired.
It's my understanding that this is not the original roof.
Where's Kristen?
I would probably say no, because if they,
Right, so these tiles have been added since, originally. Okay.
right, because it was even said in one of that bids that the reason why, like, the drains were covered, they put the membrane over it and they had covered the drain. So then I was thinking, why can't I go back and like, be like, hey, dude, you covered our drains, you caused this issue, but if it's been like a really long time, I guess we can't hold them accountable.
Curiosity, when was that done, do you remember? Well, I thought you knew everything. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so do the council feel like they've had an opportunity to review these bids and to ask their questions?
Yeah, I do.
And if you need a minute, just say, I need a minute. It's okay, we don't need to hurry this decision. But we do need to vote on it.
Anything else, Councilwoman Downey?
No. The only thing that, and the mayor and I talked, that was it you, Rochelle?
It was probably, was it today? Or yesterday?
You looked online?
Yeah. Oh, yes, I did. Was stalking people online, not stalking. I was just looking at their reviews and stuff, and, this, Tanner Edwards had really good reviews. Actually, all of them, none of them had any bad reviews, but he had the most. And everybody just recommended him and his quality of work and stuff like that, so.
Has he done a lot of commercial work?
I'm not positive on that.
I don't know that either, sorry.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion on approving one of these bids?
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the Tanner Edwards bid for the repairing the roof library.
For the cost
Yeah, I was just gonna say for the
Cost of the bid.
which is,
26,
here,
26, yep.
110,
26,
110.
110. Thank you, guys.
Point of information,
Yes.
did they give us a timeline when they could start? Any of these?
No, because, Corey told us we have to wait until the bats leave, which is October or November. Because we can't,
Or maybe he has a way to get them to leave,
Yeah,
maybe.
we could gas them.
Well, don't say that.
you can encourage
But I mean, maybe there's a way for him to help them along. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe we just need to ask him
My
that.
only concern is,
time.
October, November,
Yeah.
they're not gonna be able to get on the roof. I mean, not that we ever have any snow around here.
But we're gonna have a lot of snow this year.
Yeah.
Are we?
Mhm.
Yeah, lot.
I can feel it,
You've
I'll
seen the
do that.
woolly caterpillars? Is that what you're telling me? Dave?
something like that.
I hope you're right, David.
I hope
I
so
do
too.
too.
Thank you. That's my only question. I will
Maybe-
second the,
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean, maybe there is some way that they could look into encouraging them to leave so they could accelerate that date.
yeah.
Go bang on the roof.
All right.
Did you second?
Yes, I seconded.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving now from our action meeting into our work meeting. The work meeting items are items that are, basically discussion items. Our item number 11 is a candidate introduction, Dallas J. Guyman, and he will be introducing himself to our community.
Heather.
Hello, council, and hello, everybody. Yes, my name is Dallas Guyman, and I'm running for House District 71. So you're going to get to know me over the next few months. I'm sure you'll get sick of my face soon. You know, we love politicians. I know that we love that for sure as a community. I just want to introduce yourself to me because I'm actually fairly new to this whole area. I'm only 25. I moved here a few years ago to go to SUU, and I've fell in love with this community. I'm a proud transplant from Salt Lake City area, Bountiful, Utah, to be exact. And I have fallen in love with this place. This place has given me, I'm a wife, it's given me a career. And I'm a big believer that public service, I really like to emphasize the service portion of that. And so I feel like this is a way that I can give back to my community by driving up to Salt Lake, especially with these gas prices, driving up to Salt Lake and representing the people here and the people in Cedar City and all of District 71. A little bit more about me, or like my positions that I'm running on. I'm a big believer in accountable government. I think it's fair to say that in many times our government is not very accountable. I made a whole pledge and signed a whole thing that says that I'm going to be an advocate for a constitutional amendment for term limits, for example. I'm a big believer in that. I also recognize that things like our infrastructure as a state, while it's actually better than most states in the country, we could still improve, and I'm a big fan of increasing funding there. And I'm also a teacher, actually. If you know where Monuments RTC is, up at Bryan Head, I go and I teach up there. So I want to see education always improve in this state as well. So that's just a little bit about me, and I'm open for questions or comments or anything like that. I have a whole stack of campaign business cards I'll go put out there out in the foyer for anyone to grab if they want to check out my website and see more about me. And obviously contact me. I'm always looking to learn, because I think the other strength that I think I have as a representative is because I know that I don't know enough, and that's why I want to work with you as a city council and everyone here to be able to understand your needs and how the state can help you. So that's just a little bit about me. Any questions or comments or anything like that?
I just have one question. Do you have any ties with Parowan? Guyman's an old Parowan name.
Us Guymans, we seem to get all over the place. That's what I've learned. I'm related to them, I'm sure. I don't know them personally, but I think the Guymans have made a very we're very much founded in Utah, and so you'll see us all over the place. That's why I'm still here, and I love this state. But yeah, we spread out all over the place. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for taking your time to come and introduce yourself.
Well, thank you.
Running.
You'll see me plenty. I'm sure I'll be knocking doors soon. So I'll go put out some campaign cards, and I hope. And thanks for everyone, humoring me. So I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. All right, work meeting, agenda item number 12 is Memorandum of Understanding with Iron County School District regarding lighting the Parowan P.
You want to step up here with me, so I don't have to stand here by myself?
Sure.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Thanks for taking a minute to be able to discuss this. Thanks for what you do for our community. You guys have a tough job. It's always challenging. And, the challenges that Parowan faces, the opportunities, the threats, all of those things that you have to wade through and make the decisions that are in the best interests of our community, that represent, the community members that have voted you into these positions. And thank you for your willingness to be able to do that. I had a wonderful opportunity to grow up in Parowan. And, as a boy growing up, I remember going to the pool, going to, the school, the bike trails, going to the 4th of July parades, the events, the races, all of those things, Parowan's birthday celebration, and all of that was Parowan, okay? as I got older and, I had the opportunity to serve on city council, I started to see that there's actually quite a bit of separation in a lot of those responsibilities and duties. And, I really never understood that as a kid. I always just saw Parowan as Parowan, not as Iron County School District's the one that's making the decisions for the schools. Parowan City Council's the one that's making decisions for Parowan City. Helen Keller stated, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. So it's with that thought process and with that cooperative train of thought, and I appreciate the principal being willing to come over and to support us, as we talk through this. So with that cooperative train of thought, I want to talk a little bit about the framework of the MOU. And so with the MOU, this is simply the Memorandum of Understanding. Now to clarify, we had talked about a BLM easement, okay? The BLM easement was approved to move forward in that direction. And the MOU is part of that, or at a request of the BLM, where it has multiple entities that will be involved in this process. So as we talk about the MOU is not the easement. It is, it's really to clarify, and I think it does this well. So the school district understands what their responsibilities are, Parowan City understands what the responsibilities are, and we're not wondering what's happening or what's going on there. Okay. And so, as we get into the details of the P, through fundraising, they did the roundups, quite a few people contributed towards getting the lights for the P. And so the LED lights have been paid for and put into place there, okay? Now, for us to do additional work to that, we need to get an MOU in place with the BLM. That you guys have approved. So the framework for the MOU ask for, it's just really a simple, and we'll get it to legal so you guys can take a look at it. But my intent is just a simple MOU. So we'll talk about the background. The background for the P, we all know, and I would be curious, when was the P put into place? Does anybody know that?
1918 was the first time that the students of Parowan High School went up and whitewashed the P.
Okay, but do you know when the P was originally put on the P hill?
Yeah, 1918 is when...
1918, okay.
When that's the earliest...
Did you help
record.
do that?
No, I was...
He's supervised.
I was on my way to Europe for the First World War.
But the P has been around forever. It's a hallmark of the community.
There was the M at Beaver, and then the C came later on.
Okay, so,
It was one of the three earliest letters on hills.
Okay, awesome. And you know, our tradition, I remember hearing my parents talk about pushing the bus up the hill as they went to go and whitewash the P and clean it, take care of it. I remember going up as a senior, doing those types of things. And the P was always lit for graduation. You know, that was kind of the intent. From my understanding, the community is very interested in that P being lit every night. And that's an important aspect of that. However, how do we keep the traditions from the schools? How do we keep some of these things in place? And I think the solution that we've seen is a great solution. So to be able to have the P lit every night, but then to turn it blue for graduation, or for special occasions or special events. And maybe you guys saw the P lit over the 4th of July, okay, red, white, and blue. Yes, some really cool opportunities to be able to do that. So it's transitioning away from just a hallmark of graduating seniors from Parowan High School to really an emblem of our community. And so that's kind of the background for this Memorandum of Understanding as we roll through this. So that's the first area that will be included in that. And then the second area is, dealing with the partnership on, maintaining and, caretaking of the P. And we need to see what the council's recommendation is as far as that goes. I think it's best to keep that as open as possible. You can set it up so that somebody's the controlling entity of that. That means anytime you went to do maintenance, if these guys went to paint the P, they'd have to ask the city to be able to do that. I think we can clarify that maintenance can be done as needed by either entity. And, but I would look for your feedback, your input, on those types of things. So that's one of the pieces, the reporting on it, okay? The second piece to this is the funding, okay? Now, when we're talking about funding, we are not talking about funding for the MOU. We are talking about an agreement for funding for the P. So, for instance, if years and years ago, they had a memorandum of understanding for funding for the Old Rock Church, they could put a little bit of money away every year for that, and we would have a pot of money that we could dip into to be able to take care of some of the maintenance needs. It's prudent, in my opinion, of us to be able to do that and to be able to put that into place. I've had conversations with the school district, and they are happy to contribute, okay? The thought is, if we did something even as simple as $500 a year, okay? If the school district puts $500 a year in and the city puts $500 a year in to a capital account that is for the maintenance of the P, in 10 years, we would have $10,000 that we can go through. If we've got to replace batteries or we've got to do something along those lines, it can be done without having to reach back out to one of the entities and see who's going to come up with the money and how is it going to be taken care of. So for a very, very small amount, we can do that. Now, that's up to you guys. You guys need to make the decision on it if that's acceptable. And let me just state, as I say, the city would be responsible for that. In the Memorandum of Understanding, the city is one entity, one of the partnerships. The Iron County School District's another one of the partnerships, okay? That doesn't mean Iron County School District couldn't fundraise the $500 that they put towards that, or the city go to the Economic Development Committee and say, hey, this draws people off the freeway to our community, let's put $500. However you guys manage that, you manage it. It's just a process of an agreement that we will have those funds available, okay? Now, of course, there's got to be duration associated with that, and as typical with MOUs, if both parties agreed to do away with it, that memorandum of understanding would go away. And so that's the simple framework for that memorandum of understanding. So any feedback, any input would be great associated with that. But I would suggest let's let the P Hill bring us back to kind of that youthful vision that Parowan's Parowan. It's not all these separate entities, but we're simply a community that's working together to be able to accomplish these things. Mike Adams wished that he could have been here tonight. He was sick. He had some comments as well. But any additional thoughts?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to all of you and the people who have been involved with this project, because it's taken many hours and it's taken many years, probably since Jim was a young man.
He still is young.
Yeah.
He is so young.
But it's something that's been amazing to see, at least for me, is everyone come together and support a project like this and how it's improved our community. You know, we love Parowan and we want to have more of these discussions. And part of the reason why I'm here tonight, and I kind of interrupted, is I think that there are more ways that we can come together and discuss things that are Parowan related, not just school related or city related, and see what we can do to support each other and the boundaries that we need to set. I'm all in for that. I think that as a community, we need to help and build and support each other. So I'm willing to listen to those, if you have ideas. I'm putting some stuff together, for next month. But I have visited with Mr. Burton before. I know Rochelle really well. I know of Jim, 'cause he's a legend. But,
Legend.
yeah, legend.
I wanna be just like you.
But if you'd like to come visit with me, I'd appreciate that. I think maybe having, more discussions about things that we feel like are important in our community would bode well for both parties. I'm invested, and so are you, and we wanna improve. And I think together we can make it happen, and I think there are things that need to be clarified, as far as what those boundaries are and what we can do to support each other. This is just one of many. I wanna move forward on others. So, thank you for those who have been involved and have done some of this legwork, been included, Mike Adams, the Evans and those who participated in generating the money. The money wasn't generated from the school district, it was from donations that we raised through the school. So, everyone who participated, we thank them. So, thank you. Any questions, I guess?
Questions?
Thank you.
Comment, question, clarification, I don't know, all the above. If I remember correctly, that we pledged as far as the city council, the $7,500.
Yes.
And you didn't say anything about that. I don't think it has been issued to you yet, has it?
It has not. Okay, so for the
Okay.
$7,500, just, because this is a separate entity, this is talking long-term maintenance. But let me address that just really quick. So initially, what we wanted to do was have Rocky Mountain Power, to tie into their power line that's up close to that to be able to power the P. We visited with Rocky Mountain Power, and they were actually excited about it. There was the first initial, no, Parowan has its own power company, that's not us. I says, remember Bryan Head, Paragon, remember all these other communities out in the valley that are Rocky Mountain Power customers. So they're like, right, that's right, they all go to Parowan High School. We want to be partners in this. And so Tom Heaton was great, but they are held accountable to their parent companies. Rocky Mountain Power is under PacifiCorp. It got approved through Rocky Mountain Power, went to PacifiCorp, and got denied at PacifiCorp. So they came back and said, our hands are tied, there's not much we can do other than offer support. So we will still ask Rocky Mountain Power for funding towards this. I have also asked the school district to match what Parowan City has put forward with that. Todd and Hunter are working to see if they can come up with the $7,000 that you guys have, $7,500 that you guys have contributed to this. We will still, in all likelihood, need about an additional $7,000. I'm not overly concerned about that because I think once we kick this out, once we get the details ironed out, and we kick this out to the community, I think we'll have businesses that will help support this. I think we can come up with the money fairly quickly to be able to roll that through. And just one thought, Parowan community member hat. If you ask and want me to do, ask for a ongoing yearly donation that goes towards this, the $500 that you would put in, by all means, let's do something. We can add a little bit to our power bill. I don't, however you guys want to manage it, but this is a big deal to the community members. Does that answer your question, though?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
And when we did it before, I don't think we had it earmarked for the 75 specifically go for something, did it? Or did
It was for powering the P. And so,
so it could go towards future, maintenance on it, or could it go for, if I remember right, we gave it to you as your discretion.
Yeah, to power the P was really the kind of the standing, because we weren't sure if Rocky Mountain Power would be able to get this through, which it fell through. So the intent is to utilize it to purchase the solar system that would power the P.
Okay.
The initial purchase price of that.
So Ben, is it, off the table to hook into permanent power?
Jeremy? I think so. I think it's really not feasible.
Cost prohibitive, our closest point of, attachment would be down by, Tisa's house, out in the canyon.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd have to run clear up, and then with Rocky Mountain's existing line, I think it gets really constrained up there. It'd be
And then we still have the maintenance cost associated with that going on and on. So I think our...
Do you think Rocky Mountain Power ever come forth?
I don't think so. I even wrote a letter along to Pacific Corps to ask them and got a generic response back. They didn't look at it.
You're gonna be using this at night, so
Yes.
you're gonna be dependent on that battery system.
Absolutely,
And that's a lot of maintenance and a lot of problems.
As far as...
Do you have a cost on the solar/battery setup?
We do. We're about 21,000 for the setup for that to do the 400 watts that they need to do. Now, what we're hearing and our experience with that, so we have a ton of solar at SU. We've got solar on just nearly every roof that's there, and we do have quite a few battery systems that is very minimal maintenance associated with it.
Unless something breaks.
Okay, unless you have to dispose of them.
So the batteries, exactly. So the batteries themselves, in today's dollars, if we were to simply repurchase the batteries for that today, we would be about $8,000. Now, the battery's life is anticipated at a 20-year battery life.
20.
So this system would put us in 10 years to have $10,000 sitting in the bank to replace those batteries. They should not go bad in 10 years, but if something breaks, something else happens, to be able to take care of that. And we don't have solar people that work for the city. These guys are great electricians and they understand but that's not their world. Same with the Iron County School District. We don't have solar people who do that. So we're going to rely on outside people to be able to help us through this process just a little bit.
So that was another question I was gonna bring up as far as maintenance, because I talked to Jeremy on it, they're not capable of doing that because that's more of a home, correct, instead of your alignment. So that's what we'd have to make sure in the MOU is who's gonna take care of it. We need to...
Yeah, so that's the intent, is to have a capital fund so that we can, Jeremy and those guys are gonna be able to help us understand some, and if the fences broke down or something like that, either Iron County School District or Parowan City, we could figure out what we need to, or get volunteers up there to take care of that. The solar's the scary part. Who's going to take care of that and who's going to fix that? Well, this account gives us the ability to have somebody come in to do that. Now, the intent, and as we roll through this, and you guys will have the opportunity to see these, we should be able to roll out with a solar system that has like a 10-year warranty on it. So for the first 10 years, it would be fixed by the contractor that did it, or the service contractor, whatever. 10 years, we'll have the $10,000 in the bank that if we need somebody to come up to look at the batteries or to test the batteries or replace one or two batteries, because there'll be a multi-battery system, we will have the funding there available to be able to do that. And so it's kind of taking, because we're not going to have the custodians from the high school run up, they don't have the knowledge, the background to be able to do that either. We don't want to rely upon Jeremy to have to figure those batteries out. And so we want to have enough money that we can bring a specialist in that understands that and have them simply replace those out.
Have you contacted any specialists?
We have. So we talked to a gentleman in Cedar that is actually on state contract, and he's the one that's done the majority of the solar around Cedar Valley. And that's where we've gotten our information from. As we've initially looked, we looked at the trailer to be able to do that. The trailer exposes us to some challenges, and the recommendation is to put simply a small solar array up there, and then the battery's just in an enclosed thing underneath it. And that should create a very long-term solution for us by creating this MOU and putting a funding. And like I said, all I'm asking for is what do you think's the best? $500 a year seems like a great partnership between Iron County School District. Hey, you guys put that in. Parowan, let's put this in and have some money so when we get down the road, we're not even having to have the hard conversations of where we can come up with $10,000 to fix batteries up there.
Another question, just real quick, or you can go ahead and say if you need to.
I was just going to add, I spoke to Beaver. I didn't speak to the electricians, but at least the administrator there about the maintenance of their bee on the hill. And he said basically the same thing, that it's been very low maintenance and they haven't had any issues. Anyway,
Is there solar?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
But they wish they had a grid tie.
Yeah.
And obviously they would take a power line there, over the solar.
There, and it's in a similar situation. And that's why we tried the power first. That would be the ideal. And also the other thing, so hopefully, in the ideal world, and things are going to go exactly as planned, 20 years from now, our batteries are still going to be great. We'll have $20,000 sitting there. Technologies are going to change. We'll see improvements on battery systems. The solar technology is probably going to change a little bit, but not a lot. But the batteries, I think we'll see huge changes in batteries and capacities, and prices come down significantly. We can update the system, at that point as well.
Well, don't get me wrong, solar is great. We use it in many applications, but we don't use batteries. We just use daytime.
Yes.
But solar is great. We've had nothing but good experience with it. It's helped us out immensely, because we have situations where there's no way to have power except a generator.
One question.
Absolutely.
You kind of touched my mind on this, whatever. Who's going to carry the insurance on it? I think we'd have to have insurance in case of vandalism or hit by lightning or stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that will have to be part of the discussion. The one thing that we've got going for us as far as trying to keep an eye on it is the partnership we already have with our school resource officer. He's a Parowan City police officer and helped, funded through Iron County School District. So if we put as part of his responsibilities, hey, check on this. I'm sure Jed's going to be real sad if we make him drive up the P Hill once in a while to take a look at things. But yeah, you're exactly right. And let's have that discussion with the city, and maybe that's something we can talk to the attorneys about just a little bit, because for it to roll into state risk, it may not be even an issue, may not have any cost associated with it. To roll it into Parowan City's risk, it may not have any cost associated with it either. Let's look and see what's the best benefit for us, and we can make that call. I think that's a fairly easy one to be able to coordinate. But let's put that as part of the MOU, so it's declared in there and we're not wondering who's doing what. It's a great idea, Matt.
Well, no doubt plus it's not sitting there not insured, and when it happens, or it does happen.
And I know a lot of people think this, and I'm just going to say it because a lot of people think it. So this is all in writing. It would be an understanding between Parowan City and the school district. So we get new people coming in, maybe you're not there anymore. Someone can't just be like, we're backing out of the school district part of it. I don't want that to happen.
Great question. And so I agree. So as part of the MOU, the funds will not be held by Iron County School District. They will be held by Parowan City. And that's important to me just because based off of exactly what you said. I don't want 5 years from now those funds to go away if they decide to do something else with them.
But the easement is in Parowan City.
And the easement, and that's another reason. Let's keep the easement in Parowan City. Let's have them put the money in Parowan City so you guys have control. I like Parowan to have control over what's going on with the P.
Does the BLM have to be on that MOU too?
No, so the MOU is between us,
Just us.
and then the easements with BLM. So that's the piece that ties with BLM. And BLM only wants the easement with one entity, and then the MOU partners us together in the background behind that.
Well, Parowan is that entity now, isn't it? Hasn't it been done?
The MOU's got to go through as part of that.
So
it has been submitted to them, but once we get the MOU in, we should be a done deal with
It's been
that.
draft submitted, it hasn't been submitted.
So it's contingent on the MOU.
Yeah, and that's part of the process that we've got to go through with them. So and you guys can't vote on this now because it's not on but if there's a consensus, if you guys feel like, hey, whether you figure the $500 out and you go to the community to get that money raised, or if we can just say, okay, Iron County School District put this in, Parowan, let's put this in, and let's set that as part of our funding standard for this to be able to move forward. I think that's a very positive approach. Okay, any additional questions?
I had a quick question, if you could summarize.
Absolutely.
off topic of the P. So just concerns about our community, within our community about the auxiliary building that is proposed to be built at Parowan High School. Can you update us on that?
I can. So, with the bond, when we came in and we talked about the bond, we talked about a building for Parowan that would be a little bit of a universal building.
Cafegimatorium.
A cafegimatorium, yeah, exactly. I think you put Jim in there for Jim Shirtlift, you're gonna get your name on that building.
The porta potty out back's got my name.
It's already got it. So as we've gone through, we had set amounts for that, to be able to roll through there. Let's see, we have started with, Canyon View Middle School and Cedar Middle School and Cedar High School's upgrades. All of them have come in over budget, okay? So in my mind, that panics me a little bit, like, okay, what's gonna happen? They're gonna pull money away from Parowan and go through there. That may have been the past, that's not today's world. The school district has been very good, and in the meeting specifically stated, Parowan's project will be held harmless. We will have the dollars that were indicated in the bond come to Parowan, okay? Now, how do we do that and keep everything within budget? What will end up happening is we will probably postpone the bus garage in those areas for down the road. And the reason that decision was made is because of the direct day-to-day impact that it has on students. This building will have a direct day-to-day impact on students where they can still function within the existing bus garages. It's not as efficient as it could be, and we still need to do that at some point. But we'll look at capital dollars and different things. But I do have the commitment from the school board and from the school administration that Parowan's project will be fully funded. Now, we have opportunities there. Okay, I see us with this, once again, blurring those lines of Parowan and the schools in with the band of basketball, with a lot of those type of events being held in there. Once again, we'll have to do an MOU with Iron County School District, but we should be able to do that in a way that it minimizes any cost or anything to Parowan City. I also would kick back out to the community opportunities that as we go through this process, if we can get donations from businesses that come in here, we can maybe get an extra gym in this. We can maybe do something extra. As we go through this process, I would like to have the city involved in the design side of this. So if there's pickleball courts, if there's basketball courts, meet the school's needs, meet the elementary school's needs. Let's get all of those on the table and have the conversations so as we go through, we're proud of this when it comes out the other side. Does that answer your question?
It does, and
Okay.
I've been asked for updates, so thanks for that.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you for the time. Thanks for letting me rant for just a little bit. But I do appreciate the principal coming over. I think it's a new day. I think we used to see where Parowan was kind of the one that was forgot about. I'm loud enough that it's hard to forget about it when I'm in the school board meetings. And I'll continue to fight that battle. But we have great support at this current time from our Iron County School District administrators. We've got great principals who are willing to jump in, see Parowan as this whole community and not separate entities. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
And if you guys don't know his name, it's Kim Bailey. I don't know if he ever said his name, but just the principal, but.
Bailey, principal,
Yeah.
Parowan High School.
Thank you for being here, Kim Bailey.
Thank
Thank
you. We
you.
appreciate
Principal
your
Bailey.
support.
Yeah. I didn't know if people knew him, like I know him, but I
No.
don't know.
I
If you,
just met him tonight.
yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Want to.
Work meeting, agenda item number 13, Police Department step and grade increase determination and discussion. Chief Berg.
I don't like it when you bring PowerPoints. It's 8 slides. Oh, it's okay.
This wasn't a very fast process, for sure.
Mayor, point of personal privilege.
Thank you.
We're gonna take a 10-minute intermission. Is that appropriate?
That's appropriate.
10 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna go thank them for coming. Really, if that's.
Hmm? No, what? Oh, really? Well, thank you. That's what I... Well, thank you. What? I didn't, I'm sorry. There's still a few minutes.
Feels better. Turning yellow.
I thought it was tears coming out of the color.
I just wanted to thank them for coming, because I haven't seen, wanted to. Principal Bailey has like anxiety issues, like with talking to people.
What is this, a new cup?
Heather, did you make note of what time I called for Heather?
Is this a, I don't know. I doubt it. No. I bet you this would just be without. But I can ask that to clarify. You are? Not if I beat you to it.
Mayor?
Just kidding. Go.
You don't have to call a recess, all you do is grant me point of privilege. Yeah, just a point, yeah.
Just come out.
You don't need to stop the meeting, just point of personal privilege.
Okay, calling back to order, the recess is over, and reconvening, it's 7:08. Thank you. So this is agenda item, again, back to where we were, 13, Police Department step and grade, increased determination.
So, when we left our meeting last week, we were given the task to go through the matrix and reclassify the positions to see if we could reduce the cost, right? And that's a process, and so I put it up here, we scanned it in so you guys could kind of see the process on how it was done, because it's very objective. The subjectiveness to that is names and people, right? And you can take that right out of it with this matrix, because it's a little complicated to learn. We figured it out. Interestingly, there was Councilmember Topham. There was my recruit. Look, ready? Go. Okay.
Bam.
All right.
Thank
So this process, to reclass, hasn't been done since 2007 on any position in the town. So this is, 2007 is when the current human resource manual was done, and that's when this matrix was inserted. So according to the HR, that's when it was done. The matrix is very clear on how we classify positions based on the quality of the job, the need for the job, the knowledge for the job, and we're going to go through those real quick. So here's factor number one, and you see it has a weight of 40% in the total value, and figuring out like A, B, C, D across the board for your formal education training and figuring out what knowledge and skills are required is not that difficult. What's difficult is down in the bottom, each one of these has a percentage factor that you can add to it based on certain certifications and this is across the board, it's not just police, right? This is our actual city one. And then you have up in the middle of that, up under F and G, you have years of service experience, right? So you take all of that, you add the numbers together, and that's number one. That's factor number one. Then you have factor number two, which is responsibility. What is the responsibility? Again, you go through the same thing, right? And this one's very complicated because it has 5% and 10% based on that job description. And then you have the work environment. Same thing again. You go across the board, you get your numbers. And then you get to this. You tally up all the numbers, and it gives you the grade, right? So if you're between, like grade 1 is between 262 points and 274 total points from factors 1 through 4. Now, the way it becomes objective is, two of us did it. I did it based on job description, and Callie, the HR director, did it based on job description, not knowing everything that police do, right? She just doesn't know. And because of the way that this is developed, we were different in point numbers, but we were in the same grade on every one of them. So that tells you that it can be seen, right, by different of opinions about what that job is. So that's how we did it. So the total value is converted to a grade. When you put those dollars together, we reduced it by the overall by 43,000. Then from the other basis, from the percentages, from all the different ways we had it set up, that 43,000 reduction is based on the 32% that was done by the city initially, right? That initial value. Keep in mind, out of that full 200,000 is not just wage cost. They've added in some fuel costs and things like increasing fuel costs and things like that. About 51,000 of that is fuel costs. So we've dropped it down from 177,000 wages to about 118 is what the number is. I'm going to have Judy come up and explain how that worked.
So, we had figured in 200,000, which, like you said, not all of that was police wages. It was the other wages. It was increased cost of materials, gas. There was a lot of things. If we still take, can I move that down? If we still take this and what we are still needing, I'm trying to think how to explain this to you. We still need to do truth in taxation. Even if we don't, and I don't know if we can ask Dan Jason, I can't remember his name, if we can lower how much we do truth in taxation.
You can.
Okay. So if we can lower that, we won't need quite as much. However, we talked to our auditors today. I was in a meeting with Molly and Sharon, and he said, if we do not have any more revenue come in, next year we'll have 2 months' worth that we could run on. We are going to take every bit of our savings. We have to keep 5% in a savings account. That's a state law. Between 5 and 35%, I think and we've tried to keep 12%. We try to be conservative. We could do it this year without truth in taxation, but it would take every bit. We have 603,000 right now. We are at 589,000. We would take every bit, and then we wouldn't have enough to keep our 5% ceiling. So, is that?
Does anyone have any questions for Judy?
But this did take it down quite a bit, so.
Thank you.
So based on that, it's just like we talked last week, that's all we did. We just went in and made those reclassification changes. We haven't looked at anything else or done anything else. We just did that as asked.
Oh, yeah.
Just so you're aware, 90 cities in Utah are doing truth in taxation. The main part is for public safety wages, so we're not in the minority by any means.
Yeah, I saw that on the news today too. I don't know if you guys saw that, but.
Yeah.
Okay, so another thing is, we're gonna have to pull some back from our capital account to make, if we don't do truth in taxation, we'll have to pull some back so we can keep that ceiling of $225,000 in.
Which that was the conversation last week, right? Based on percentage. I don't know what those numbers are,
But that's 1 year,
Right.
just so you're aware, that's 1 year.
So, and I know our conversation, sorry, the statement you made last week about we probably need to do some is a good statement, because you'd still, either this year or next year, whether we spend a year trying to make it very well known why and what and all that good stuff, or whether you go for it this year, that's where the capital facilities played in.
So how much was pulled out of capital funds?
None.
Huh?
We haven't pulled anything yet.
You haven't pulled anything yet at all?
No, but
Not
we
yet.
could right now pull 471,000, still leaves us 100 and something short, 165, I can't remember the exact, but it would still leave us short. Because we have to keep some in there for that percentage that's required.
Yeah. Okay. Now, part of the capital fund comes out of the enterprise too, doesn't it?
The project.
Just the project.
No,
No.
the
Got the
enterprise
project.
funds is completely different,
Okay,
they have their own
but
capital.
you do, it's there, yeah.
Yeah, and they have their own capital.
Okay.
So based on what we were asked to do last week, that's what we came up with. So we're excited to see a reduction, but we knew it wouldn't take it all. The question is, as a council, the hard one. How do you move forward? Do you go for it this year, next year, whatever? So, any questions on the reclassification aspect of it that I can answer?
Is this, oh, go ahead.
You go ahead, he's first.
Are these, the scales here, is that including the 9%?
Yes. That's everything. Yep.
Wait, clarify that for me. So the
So the new,
what numbers?
the new wages, or the new amounts, excuse me.
So the way we did it was Callie had the pay grade, right, the step and grade.
Right.
The dollar value of the 9%. And that's where we based the median average off of, was the 9% step and grade, not the current 2022 step and grade. Which is what we all believed we were supposed to do as of last week.
Okay.
Now, actually, I compared your figures with my figures.
That's great.
You came in lower
Yes, we did.
than mine.
And here's why. It's a median average, right? So we took the median average, we put it, so we talked about what the reclassification did was let us take the officer that is there and put him in that pay grade to where the median average of Iron County was, right? So we actually went a grade lower, or a step lower on each one of those. So if the step came in at step 9.5, right, we put it at 9, not 10. And so that's how we came in lower. We also, it's not a percentage based across the board. It's not everybody's getting 32%.
Right.
Some are getting 19, some are the youngest of us all, it's like a 39, right? Because it's just getting to that median average. And so, yeah, we came in, we worked it very conservatively. Any other questions? I'll have a seat.
Oh, sorry, I was writing down some notes.
No, I'm just asking if they had
Can
questions.
you forward this presentation to us, do you mind?
What?
The presentation.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Can you just-
forward it.
I just wanna clarify how
Absolutely.
it was,
It is a fun process. In fact, I actually have, and I can scan them in and send them to you in the morning, I actually have chicken scratch, if you will. As I went through those, like writing the points down, so you can see where those points came in, I showed the percentage, so I did the math with it, right, which is not normal. So I put, you know, if we back up, like an example would be on environment. Let's say that the position ranked at B3 at 116 points, but down in here I don't even know what happened, there you go. Down in here you'll see the first line says, for positions that have task employees that historically life-threatening, i.e. fire and police, you add 50%. So what I did was, took that 116 plus 50%, then we factored in the 50%. So I show that math on there, so it'll help you go through those on how I came to where I got. Not sure what Cali, but some of those we were like within 10 points of each other. So it was interesting. It's pretty complex, I guess, is the way to put it, so.
And what was the reduction in need on the truth and taxation? Was that amount said? The
43,000 is what was reduced in wage, based on the 32% to do in reclassification. That's how much it was reduced over the total.
And that included, the other associated, I'm sorry, Judy, to have you come back up. I just wanted to.
I got more chicken scratch. It's easier when Judy's here. Got the same thing.
So we would still probably need about 150,000.
So the difference was about 43,000?
But that is putting our savings at low minimum, right?
If you didn't
do
truth and taxation, okay.
And I just wanna say again, we could do it this year, but your 2 months of next year, you would, and if we had something happen, we wouldn't have that.
And the auditor stressed that today, when, in the meeting that I was with the mayor and Judy, that we would have 2 months' worth next year.
And that's the other advantage you have this year, sorry, Councilman, is the 90 cities. There's an obvious issue across the state of Utah, right, on getting public safety up for whatever reason that is. But it's like I mentioned last week, St. George is doing almost 90 million. Now, there's this growth, right, and they have buildings, and they have all kinds of things, but they're gonna try to do 40 police officers. Good luck with that. So it's not out of whack, but it's not a comfortable topic to talk about, that's for sure.
And I just want to say I appreciate everyone's engagement in this project. It was a lot of work for our staff, and I appreciate the time you committed to this and all of the effort, and the council as well, into this question and to the outcome that I think sounds like, from what you're saying, is something that we can model off of.
I would, especially in the future for all employees, like, the reclassification changed a lot of things, right? It had a reduction in some things, but it also classified that position where it should be. Okay, thank you.
Another thing I was gonna say is, and I think, the mayor, we had talked about this, either we find ways to bring in more money, or you're gonna have to cut services. And I don't see any other way.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Judy.
Thank you. And just, she could probably say the services faster than I could, but it's 24-hour police. Do we want to cut there? Do we want to cut our events and activities, our library? There are a lot of things, but every one she mentioned, I did not like. So I just appreciate, again, the work that went into this research and into meeting last week and the meeting this week to just continue to talk through this in a timely manner. Okay, so now moving into the reports, updates, old business follow-up, and we will start. I always like I start on the right. We can start on the left. Councilman Shirtliff.
Okay, had one meeting this week. The Historical Preservation Committee met with the representative of Tink's Auto Supply, the people that bought Fads. They brought in some plans to show a remodel, an upgrade of the building, improved parking, and the Historical Preservation Committee voted unanimously to allow them to move forward on that. So Then there's one other thing, Mayor, I need your permission. I received an email, and I would like to address it at this time, if that's possible.
Okay.
I got a email, and believe it or not, I actually read emails when when my kid leaves the computer on so that I can get on it. But it brought up some serious questions, and I would like to address them publicly. The gist of the email was that this concerned citizen was a little bit concerned about a council person voting on an employee's pay raise when that employee was a wife or my wife, okay? So I would like to address that. Now, I was asked to run for city council almost 5 years ago, and my wife at that time was working for Parowan City, and so this was brought up, and I attempted to get some clarification. And so, before I even submitted my name, I came in and talked to the city, and it was suggested that they contact Utah League of Cities and Towns. And so I did, and I was told, and correct me if I'm legally in the dingleads, but they said that in many small cities in Utah, that this is a common occurrence, that there are relatives employed by the city. And the rule of thumb that they gave me was that if it was a vote affecting all employees equally, I should declare a personal interest but could vote, because it was the entire, all of the employees. They did, however, say that if it was specifically for my relative, that's when I should abstain. And so, for example, a couple of, 2 months ago, we voted as a council to give our employees Juneteenth off as a holiday, okay? All the employees. So in that case, I could declare a conflict saying that Heather is my wife, I have a relative employed by Parowan City. But because it applied to all employees, that I could vote. If, however, I made a proposal to give all employees who were married to Marines the 10th of November off, because that's Marine Corps birthday and should be a national holiday, but that would then be something that I should abstain from voting on, because it was specific for my relative, my spouse, and therefore it would be inappropriate for me to vote on. So, and the question was brought up that it was this concerned citizen felt that it was probably inappropriate to vote for the 9% because my wife benefited from that 9%. But it was for all of the employees. It was not specific to her. And so I could vote. In fact, even, and Kristen, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, there is no state law that says I can't vote. It's simply perception, and one that I should take very seriously. And I do. I would never vote if it affected my wife specifically. For example, It would be similar to when President Biden was in the Senate and his son was in the military. It is not inappropriate for Senator Biden to vote on a military appropriations bill that gave service members a 3% pay increase, because it was across the board, not specifically for the benefit of his son. And so that's my reasoning in voting for that. Now, in thinking about this, there's another option that I could employ. If, for example, when the employee raise comes up for a vote, I could ask for a division of the question. And the division of the question would then take every individual employee, one by one, would require a motion, a second, and a vote to appropriate the 9%. So we could go down the list of every employee in the city with a motion, a second, and a vote to receive that pay raise. That way, I could vote for every employee, yea or nay. When Heather's name was called, I could abstain. Now, but either way, I want it very clear that I in no way, shape, or form would ever put the council or the city in a position where they felt that I was doing something inappropriate by voting for a wage increase or a benefit increase, if it was in fact across the board for all employees. And I appreciate the email, Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to clarify my position. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Councilmember Gale.
We didn't have any meetings this week or last couple of weeks or anything for that, and I would just like to follow up with Councilman Shirtlow's response, and I did check into the same thing and feel the same way as far as with my spouse too, so just kind of ditto that. So
he made me do the work.
Thank you.
I have no reports.
Okay.
I didn't have any meetings this week either, but just to remind you all that the Aladdin production is still going on at the theater for the next couple of days, and I have yet to go. I know that's bad, but I'm going to make a point to go tomorrow. I've heard it's fantastic, and all of the casts are great, and then the concert in the park on Friday is the last one for this year, and I'm hoping that maybe we can continue that longer next year, depending on what we decide with the budget. But anyway, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Burton.
Thank you. I just want to comment on Meeks Park. We've gotten to a point where you can see that the dredging's completed as we reported, and now we do need to move forward. We need to get that head gate in for the diversion ditch and tie in the water, however we determine that that's appropriate. We've cleared that with the State Department, or water rights. And we just, so we need to get the footage on that, and DWR is going to work with that. And we're going to try and get a meeting with those entities. I was hoping maybe tomorrow, but we'll see. Because that park, we've got to carry forth. We can't just quit and leave it as is. I mean, we've got a good start, and so we want to finish. Planning and zoning met. We're in need of 2 new members of that commission and that board now, so we need to get that taken care of there. The planning and zoning is functioning. Larry Zajac, chairman, that commission's here, and he's been handling the different, situations that have come up as the Planning and Zoning Committee does, and the Planning and Zoning Committee's continuing to function. I know there was concern, but we're doing fine. And I commend Larry and the mayor for doing that, and we do have, as a stand as needed, Reed Erickson's there to, if we have any questions or any concerns, and so we're okay. The Planning and Zoning Committee is taking care of the city's business, and things are working fine. I want to comment on the Fairgrounds. If anybody hasn't been out there, they ought to go see what's going on. They've got that fence up, they got the ranch entrances on the south and on the west, the two, and they've done a very good job, and they're working on that very diligently, and that Fairgrounds is really coming together, and they're trying to get it so that it'll be ready for the fair, which I understand they've extended an extra week. They're going to start it a week earlier, and so they're going to add a concert to it, and along with the Mud Bog Derby and demolition derby and things, and so it's really coming together, looking good. I think anybody needs to look at that, and those people that have been working on that need to be commended and recognized. And it's really going to be an addition to this community. And I mean, you think about that extra week and the people that are going to come, the revenue that's going to be generated here in the city because, you know, of that extra week, and so it's a good thing for the city. It really looks good, so I'd encourage you all to go look at that. I want to echo Councilperson Toppin's comments on the concert in the park. If you haven't gone and seen, this is to see that many people that are there and participating and enjoying that. They're showing a need that's being fulfilled and recognized. And I too hope that it can be extended next year, because I think it's a great success. Because I tried, like I said before, I tried counting people before, but this time you can't count them, and it's really good. And the play I attended last night, I have a granddaughter that was in it, and to see those kids and the work, there's 3 companies, 80 kids, I believe they explained, that's participated in that this year. To think of the work, the effort, but yet the productive use of their time during the summer. I mean, that's 80 kids that's really dedicated and involved. They had a fun time. It was great. They need to be commended. Jed Sedgwick has done a wonderful job on the set. I mean, I was impressed. And that thing was full. It's sold out. And to see again that many people coming together in a venue, in an activity, and seeing that that's fulfilling a need, that Parowan's, it's being recognized to have a place where people can have and enjoy those type of activities, and have the kids involved in that type of activity. I think all those involved just need to be recognized and commended, because it's really great. It's really great, and I appreciate it. Appreciate these things for the community. We'll have to, I still am curious about the water loading station, so we'll have to see where we're at on that. So, but I just appreciate everybody and everybody being here. Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Councilman Burton mentioned something that I forgot. The Historical Preservation Committee is in need of a new member. Annette is going on a mission, and so she needs to be dropped from that. So the Historical Preservation Committee needs another member. Thanks, David.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and I did see you out there in the welding shed out to the fairgrounds.
Okay.
That looks great. I stopped the other day and talked to Merlin and, Paul.
Yeah, they're doing a.
That is amazing.
It is.
I don't think there's an iron wheel left in the western United States, is there?
I don't know.
It's gonna look
Those,
so good.
all that metal and all those wheels were
Were
donated
donated.
by Frank Nichols.
Well, and a lot of those wheels Marilyn and her husband found.
She told me, Frank Nichols.
All the metal, yeah, it's amazing, and it looks
Yeah.
really, really good.
Yeah.
So, see, I can agree with you sometimes, David.
Of course you can.
All right, thank you. Thank you for those updates.
Yeah.
Okay, do we, do any of the council have a need to, go into closed session item 15?
Not at this time.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, Chris.
Mhm.
I know.
So should we do it just as a matter of course every time?